When you're dating someone, you expect a certain level of respect, not just from them, but from the people they surround themselves with. The way their friends treat you says a lot about the relationship itself. Unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. It started on a Friday evening. My girlfriend Mia had been nagging me all week to meet her friends. We'd been dating for 6 months, and up to that point, I'd managed to avoid any group hangouts. I wasn't trying to dodge them, but from what she'd told me about her circle, I knew they were a bit much. Loud, sarcastic, a little too proud of their no-filter humor. Still, I figured it was time. I wanted to show effort. Mia had been talking about how important it was that her world and mine finally connect. So I agreed to dinner with her and her three closest friends at a trendy restaurant downtown. Dim lighting, fancy cocktails, pretentious names on the menu. The moment I sat down, I could already feel the energy. Her friends didn't greet me with a smile or a handshake. They greeted me with jokes, sarcasm that had just enough truth in it to sting. "Wow," one of them, Jess, said, glancing at my outfit. "So you're the famous boyfriend." Mia said you were kind of the serious type. I thought she was exaggerating, but nope. This guy definitely looks like he brings Excel sheets to dinner. Her friends laughed. Mia giggled nervously but didn't say a word. I smiled politely, trying not to take the bait. "Guess I'll have to loosen up a bit tonight, huh?" Another one, Ethan, the token, funny guy of the group, leaned back in his chair and said, "Don't worry, man, we'll break you in." We've scared off a few of Mia's boyfriends before. It's kind of a rite of passage. I looked at Mia again, expecting her to shut it down. But she just sipped her drink and smiled, as if this was all harmless fun. Harmless fun? Right. The first 15 minutes were fine. Small talk, drinks, surface-level conversation. But then the jokes got sharper. Every time I said something, Ethan had a comment. Jess would laugh too loud. And Mia, she didn't defend me once. She was too busy trying to look cool in front of them, like their approval meant more than how I felt. It hit me around the time our appetizers arrived. This wasn't dinner. This was an audition. At one point, I mentioned I worked in project management. Ethan snorted. "Ah, so you're one of those guys who tells people what to do, but doesn't actually do anything. Nice gig if you can get it." The others laughed again. Mia chuckled and said, "He's not wrong, though. You do kind of love your spreadsheets." I looked at her for a long second. Not angry, just disappointed. That quiet kind of disappointment that doesn't show in your face, but burns in your chest. I said calmly, "Actually, I work pretty hard. I manage a team of 14 people. But yeah, spreadsheets are my thing." Ethan leaned forward with a grin. "Oh, so you're the boss. Guess that's why Mia likes you. She's got a thing for control freaks." Jess nearly choked laughing. Mia laughed too. And that was it. Something in me shifted. The kind of shift that happens silently but changes everything. I sat back and watched them. The way they interacted. The way Mia leaned into their validation like it meant everything. And in that moment, I realized I didn't belong here. Not because I wasn't fun enough, but because respect wasn't part of the menu. Still, I stayed polite. I ate, smiled occasionally, tried to change the topic a few times, but it always circled back to me being the boring boyfriend. Then the real insult came. Ethan lifted his glass and said, "So, Mia, how long are you planning to keep this one before he gets scared off too?" "We've got a pool going, by the way. My money's on 3 more months." Everyone laughed again. Everyone except me. I stared at him, then at Mia. She looked a little embarrassed. Just a little. But instead of stopping it, she said, "Oh, come on, it's a joke." "Don't be so serious," I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to make a scene. I wasn't raised that way. But my silence must have made her uncomfortable because she leaned toward me and whispered, "Babe, relax. If you don't like my friend's jokes, you can just pay and leave." It was meant as a snarky remark. She said it with a smirk, her tone dripping with that modern brand of sarcasm that people use when they think they're clever. But she didn't expect me to take it literally. I looked at her, my expression calm, eerily calm, and said, "Thanks for the option." Then I stood up, pulled out my wallet, laid down enough cash to cover my meal, plus tip. The table went silent for a moment, thinking I was joking. I wasn't. I picked up my car keys, adjusted my jacket, and looked at Mia one last time. You guys have a great night, Ethan chuckled nervously. Wait, he's actually leaving? Jess whispered. Is he serious right now? Mia frowned. Stop it, you're making it weird. Sit down, come on, don't be dramatic. I didn't even bother replying. I turned and walked out. The sound of their laughter followed me halfway to the door before it faded. Outside, the air was crisp, cool. I could hear my own footsteps echoing on the pavement as I reached my car. And I can't explain the feeling exactly. It wasn't anger. It was peace. A heavy kind of peace that comes when you realize you've stopped trying to prove your worth to people who were never going to respect you anyway. I got into my car and sat there for a moment, just breathing. My phone buzzed. 4 missed calls from Mia in less than a minute. I didn't answer. Not yet. I drove home in silence, replaying the evening in my mind. Every laugh, every dismissive glance, every time she could have said something but didn't. By the time I reached my apartment, I knew something for sure. This wasn't about rude jokes or fragile egos. It was about boundaries, and hers didn't include me. That night, I poured myself a drink, sat on my couch, and stared at my phone as it lit up again, her name flashing across the screen over and over. I didn't pick up, because deep down, I knew this wasn't over. The real conversation was coming, and when it did, she'd finally realize just how serious I was when I said, thanks for the option. The next morning, sunlight spilled through my blinds like nothing had happened, but my phone, still buzzing every few minutes, reminded me it definitely had. 23 missed calls, 8 unread messages, all from Mia. At first, the texts were defensive. Greater than, seriously, you just left? Greater than, it was a joke, you overreacted. Greater than, you embarrassed me in front of my friends. Then they turned emotional. Greater than, can we talk? I didn't mean it like that. Greater than, please answer me, I'm sorry. And finally desperate. Greater than, I'm outside your place. Can we talk for 5 minutes? I stared at that last message for a while, then exhaled slowly. I wasn't angry anymore. I just felt done. You know that strange calm that hits when you finally stop trying to make someone understand your worth? That's where I was. Still, I decided to talk. Not for her. For closure. When I stepped outside, she was sitting on the hood of her car, mascara smudged, holding a coffee cup like it was her last lifeline. When she saw me, her expression flickered between guilt and relief. Hey, she said softly. I nodded. Hey. There was a long silence, the kind that hangs heavy in the air when two people both know the truth but are afraid to say it out loud. She broke first. I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd actually leave, I noticed. She hesitated. They were joking. They're always like that. I thought you could handle it. I looked at her, steady. It's not about handling it, Mia. It's about respect. There's a difference between teasing and disrespect, and your friends crossed that line 10 minutes in. She looked down. I know. I should have said something. I just didn't want to make it awkward. It was already awkward, I said quietly. You just didn't want to look uncool in front of them. That's the truth, isn't it? She didn't answer. Her silence said enough. I continued, my tone calm but firm. I didn't leave because of one joke. I left because you made it clear that their approval mattered more than mine. And when you told me to pay and leave, you gave me the permission to walk out of something I probably should have walked out of months ago. That hit her. I could see it in her eyes. The sting of realization, the regret that comes too late. She stepped closer. I didn't mean that literally. I was frustrated. I said it without thinking. You know me. I get defensive when I'm embarrassed. Yeah, I said. I do know that. But here's the thing, Mia. Relationships aren't supposed to make you feel small. They're supposed to make you feel safe, even when the world is laughing at you. And last night you stood there laughing with them. Her eyes welled up. I just didn't know how to stop it. You start by standing up, I said simply, even when it's uncomfortable. For a moment, we both stood there in silence, surrounded by the soft hum of the city. Birds, traffic, life moving on like it always does. She whispered, do you really think it's over? I looked at her, really looked. The woman I'd once thought I'd build something with. The one I'd defended in conversations, trusted in arguments, believed in even when she didn't believe in herself. I think, I said slowly, it was over the moment you laughed instead of stopping them. She closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. I didn't realize how bad it looked until you left. That's the problem, I said gently. You only saw the problem once the laughter stopped. But I felt it the entire night. She shook her head. I can fix this. I'll talk to them. I'll tell them they went too far. I cut her off softly. You don't need to fix it. Just learn from it. She blinked, confused. So that's it. I nodded. Yeah, that's it. There was no anger in my voice, no bitterness, just quiet finality. Sometimes endings aren't explosions. They're just a door closing softly behind you, followed by silence. She looked at me for a long time, as if memorizing the face of someone she never expected to lose. Then she whispered, You really meant it when you said thanks for the option. I did, I said, and I took it. I turned and walked back toward my building. Each step felt lighter, freer. Behind me, I heard her sob once, a sharp, broken sound that echoed off the pavement. But I didn't look back, not because I didn't care, but because I finally did, about myself. Later that evening, my phone buzzed again. A long text from her. She said she'd apologized to her friends, that she'd told them what they did was out of line, that she missed me, that she wanted another chance. I didn't respond right away. I reread the message, thought about the way she looked that morning, and then set my phone down. Some lessons are meant to leave a mark. Over the next few days, something interesting happened. Jess, the loud one, DM'd me on social media. She wrote, Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for last night. We went too far. You didn't deserve that. Even Ethan, the funny guy, posted something cryptic on his story. Sometimes the quiet ones teach you the loudest lessons. I smiled when I saw that. Maybe it wasn't about revenge or proving a point. Maybe walking away was enough to make them reflect. Mia eventually stopped texting. A week later, I ran into her downtown. She was with friends again, different ones this time. She smiled when she saw me, a sad but genuine smile. I nodded politely, and for the first time, it wasn't awkward. It was just acceptance. Two people who shared something once, learned from it, and moved on. That night, sitting on my balcony, I thought about everything. How people test your limits. How silence can sometimes be louder than words. And how walking away doesn't always mean giving up. It can mean choosing yourself when no one else will. I realized something important too. Love without respect isn't love at all. It's performance. It's pretending. And no amount of laughter or apologies can fix that once it breaks. So yeah, when she said, if you don't like my friend's rude jokes, you can just pay and leave, she thought she was being clever. But what she really did was give me a way out of a relationship that had stopped feeling mutual long before that dinner ever happened. And when I walked out of that restaurant, leaving behind the noise, the mockery, the performative smiles, I wasn't just paying for my meal. I was paying for peace. And trust me, that was the best bill I've ever settled.